as Chris was saying, one of the things that we think differently about OCI, and I work in OCI and I manage basically our dedicated cloud portfolio, okay, is we have a new architecture that we can use in different places. So instead of thinking about, okay, we're only going to build regions in certain countries, like you think about in everywhere else, we are going to bring this cloud to you in a different form factor. And effectively, that's what we do. Now, when we think about distributed cloud, it's effectively, can we bring the same capabilities and technology to different landscape? And the different landscape is not just the geographical boundary, as Chris was saying, is sometimes is verticals, like financial services, or things like oil and gas, or power and water, and things like that. So there are many scenarios that are now unveiling, and I think what our strategy allows us to, and if you can go to the next slide, is to enable the workloads that are not necessarily posed for a public cloud. Because if you are basically trying to compete with the same scenarios, it's the same workload going through, okay, I have 4 options now. This is about the rest. You can do that, totally, do it, no problem. But what about the rest? And the challenge I always pose to the customers is, okay, tell me what about the workloads you cannot move. Don't tell me about the workloads that you can move. Tell me about the other ones, okay? Because I think that's the challenge I pose to you. Think about that. And when we think about our offering, effectively, we have this mentality. And the mentality is, hey, we're going to actually offer different solutions for the different type of problems based on the same technology, okay? And our proposal is, hey, we're going to have public clouds, 100%. We believe there's a walled garden, effectively, of clouds today, but we believe the customers are going to have different options and want to have different options. So we do multi-cloud as well. We do hybrid cloud. We have different edge solutions. We have different ways to connect things. And because you have different problems. In some places, you may have space for a data center. In some places, you may have a closet. And we need to solve for both. And finally, the concept of creating this architecture that we have in OCI that allows us to actually simplify the size of this is something we continue to innovate. But effectively, we can deploy a region, a full-blown hyperscale region, in a very small footprint, which is something that nobody else can say. I feel very proud about that. I spent a lot of time with the guys in blue, so like 17 years. So the reality is our architecture allows us to actually offer a lot more flexibility. Now, how that actually represents in practical terms, if you can go to the next slide, is the following. We have effectively these 4 tenets that we follow for this approach. Again, compute is compute everywhere, okay? It's the same thing. It's the same computers, it's not different. What is different? Security. I offer you more layers of security because effectively security is based on, of course, the technology that we have, but also how do you use that technology applied to your specific scenario, okay? Now, innovation technologies. Okay, of course, we're going to have IaaS, of course, that's basics, but we continue to actually innovate. So I joined OCI about 3.5 years ago, and we were in this race of, hey, can we get to parity? And we got to parity very quickly, okay, to all the services. And then, okay, what else? Okay, what else are we building? And we keep doing that. And we are not stuck into, okay, we're at parity, we're good enough. No, we keep actually creating new services. All the MLOps, AI services, GenAI services that we're creating are basically over the last 24 months. And we're going to continue to do that. Now, the other thing that we discuss a lot because of, and this is very, I think, palpable based on what happened on Friday, is the balance between availability and durability, okay? So we're going to give you options that you can have in a given country, in a given market. But also we optimize for being available. So we do want to actually optimize availability at different levels, and we want to make sure that those workloads that are going to be there are durable over time. So that sounds, okay, everyone does that. What's the difference? The difference is with the level of flexibility that we have, we can actually put different cloud deployments in different places that may not necessarily be suitable for a large hyperscaler. So as an example, I can go to really small countries. I can go to specific regions of a country and deploy. And that allows us to actually offer certain customers scenarios that they were not open to them before. And I think the last one, which is very interesting in the case of New Zealand, is, of course, you have regulatory compliance. I probably can name more compliance regimes I would like to. and the reality is there's one common thread. Governments and companies across the world, they care about the data of their citizens and their users. That's what they care. That's why I want you to care, because I'm a consumer and user of probably some of companies that work here. And the reality is having that data properly secure and encrypted across the life cycle is critical. And as Chris was saying before, we actually separate those two. And we provide a level of assurances. And the good example I always give is the cloud, most clouds are based in Seattle. Happens to be the place where all these clouds are. Now, what happens when someone updates the cloud at 3 in the morning Seattle time? Maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon here. And well, one of the things that we do and that we have the capability of doing is, you know what? We know New Zealand time, and we actually are going to do maintenance and updates when actually is appropriate to this business and this market. And we have that flexibility. And we also work with partners like Team Cloud to actually define what is the best business case for that. In some countries, Sunday is a working day. So we don't do things on Sundays. And we have that level of flexibility that I invite you to ask your other providers if they can do that. So it's very, very difficult. Now, we do have all these needs that customers have been telling us, and we transform this into an offering. If you can go to the next slide. And the offering effectively, next slide. The offering is effectively the same architecture in different modalities, okay? And this is basically all the clouds from OCI that you're going to see. Of course, we have commercial clouds. And commercial cloud is like the regions in Australia, or the regions in Singapore or Japan. Now, we do have, in the EU in particular, we have a cloud that only serves the EU, with regions in the EU, with people that resides in the EU, with a boundary around this, okay? The EU is very particular because, of course, there's 27 member states that have a common set of rules. That's very difficult to achieve in other places because of the just geopolitics of it. It's nothing to do with us. But we have an offering that is designed to meet the regulatory compliance and sovereignty needs they have. And it's a full-blown sovereign cloud. It was the first live and announced. We keep expanding it. We basically kind of keep up with the demand, basically. The customers keep coming up. The governments keep coming up. We do have government clouds beyond the US. We have government clouds in the US, in the UK, in Australia, and a couple of other places I can tell you. But we actually are able to provide a community cloud for governments for them to actually run the critical workloads with protected citizen data and all that. And then we have what I call basically dedicated cloud. And there's 3 models. One model is you're a really, really large customer and you really want to run this thing yourself, okay? And I have quite a few of those. Think about large multinationals, large telcos, that they want to have their own cloud. Okay, go at it. You can have it. And we run it, we manage for them, and they have complete customer control, okay? Now, we have isolated regions when think about national security. So if you want actually to run secret data, that cannot be connected to the internet. Now, all the things that we have been talking here is public clouds. What happens when you have basically secret data of a country? You want to be that disconnected. We can do the same thing. So we can actually do that. And I think the third one is, and this is the interesting part for me, when we created Alloy, and effectively from whiteboard to production, it took us like about 18 months. It was about business enablement. Hey, can we enable those workloads? Can we enable those customers? And I think it became, because of the changes in the world, effectively, it became really prevalent as, hey, this is going to be a solution for sovereignty needs. And that became really critical in many countries. So what we have been working on it is with partners like Team Cloud to decide, okay, in this market, who has a better chance to be successful? Oracle or a partner that's actually partnering with Oracle? And there's simple things, like for instance, in certain markets, the customers cannot contract with an American corporation. Okay, contract with the local partner. It's not up to me, for whatever reason. uh, or the partner wants to have local support in the local language. I want to make sure that when basically anyone is calling saying, I have a problem, it's answering in the local language. Well, you guys happen to speak English, so that's easy. But, but think about places like Japan or Korea or Bangladesh. Like English is not the first language, and it's not going to be like what we're going to solve for. So there, we can customize to a level that actually fits that country needs or that market needs. And I think that's what we partner, and this is different than a CSP model. A CSP model is, hey, here you can sell some of my cloud and bring the customers to me. That's a typical CSP, okay? And that's the partners do. This is not what we do. Here is basically what we're doing is Ian and Craig and family, basically, they are going to the market and we're backing them up. So we are the nerds behind basically the operations that happens. And that effectively is what enables a different model. So, and this is our offering. And we believe, I personally believe, that Team Cloud is supposed to be really, really successful in New Zealand. Because it's a new offering, it's a new offering in the market. And again, my message to you, remember, don't think about the things that you can move to the guys in orange or the guys in blue, okay? Everyone is already thinking about that, okay? Everyone is competing for those workloads already, okay? Think about everything else. Think about those too, of course, but think about everything else that you cannot move. And I want a list, hey, these are the things I cannot move, and tell me why. That's my challenge. I always pose this challenge. So I want to hear that. You can tell Ian or Craig later, and they will tell me, hey, I cannot, because that's the way I build my roadmap. What you cannot move is I'm going to work on it. I'm going to solve it. So that is my message to you, is think about how we are enabling to do that. Now, I think I have one more slide. This is something that is a bit shocking to people, but I will say that it's very simple. We use the same architecture, the same services, and we have the same bar. The same way that we deploy the service for a private, secure, secret region is the same service that you have in Team Cloud. Exactly the same. There's not a different version, there's not a different code, there's not a different thing. It's exactly the same. What we do differently is how we deploy it and how it runs. Scale, country, connectivity, things like that. Now, we are engineering the services in a way that's scalable. And effectively, you can start small, as Chris was saying, or you can be really, really big. Like the largest deployments that we have, and it's the same technology, are literally, there's one data center that's about the size of 5 777s right next to each other. That's the size of one DC. And we have many of those. And it is the same architecture, the same technology that we use here. So, and I think the other thing that we do is and I have this is happening right now. It happened to a customer that they lost connectivity, okay? And that happens, stuff happens. And it's completely out of our control. It's in a place where basically something's happening and no connectivity. The region kept running, and right now it's being actually, connectivity came back after 5 days, and we're trying to figure out, okay, is everything working? Yeah, everything's working. So now, can I solve for network connectivity everywhere? We have a ton of redundancy, but effectively sometimes things do happen, and countries do get disconnected sometimes. And we have the ability to keep working. Of course, SLAs and all of that is a different story, but it didn't break. And I think the concept is we're going to continue to iterate to actually make it resilient, really resilient. And again, that's how we build all the clouds, including Team Cloud. So there's no difference. And if there's a difference, it's because maybe we made a mistake. That happens, but it's not the case. So I think my message really is, I want to see not what you are doing today. I want to see what you can do. What you can do in New Zealand, what you can do with Team Cloud. I want to know actually what you need. I want to know what is actually missing, because that's how we're going to continue to build this forward. And I tell Ian and Craig this, hey, I want to build the next generation of this, because we deployed the region, great. Now we're thinking about the next step. So that's the way that we think. So my invitation to you is, go use it. In my experience, knowing the rest of the offers, I would challenge on, again, what is actually not here. I think that's and take some pride on, hey, you have a New Zealand cloud. I'm from a small country as well. So I think that's important. I think that's important too.